And we're live.
Okay, and we're back. If people could draw their attention to page 2 of our agenda. We are on the first item under the Finance and Personnel Committee report. Alder Taft, would you please read the item?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Okay. Sorry, I had to scroll here. So the item is item 431-21. Communication sponsored by Mayor Mason seeking approval to enter into a development incentive agreement with CCM Porters LLC regarding the Porter site located at 301 6th Street and 608 Wisconsin Avenue. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee on May 24th is that the request to enter a development incentive agreement be approved, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized and directed to execute the agreement and such related documents necessary to carry the agreement into effect on the city's behalf. Fiscal note to be discussed. And I would move to approve.
The motion to approve the item, Alder Coe, would you like to? Alder Coe seconds the motion. Seeing no further discussion on the item, when the clerk calls your name, please unmute yourself and vote as you wish.
Alder Caprillion.
Aye.
Alder Coe.
Aye.
Alder Jones.
Aye.
Alder Tate.
Aye.
Alder Santiago.
Aye.
Alder Peterson.
Aye.
Alder Horton.
Aye.
Alder West.
Aye.
Alder Young.
Aye.
Alder Pete.
Aye.
Alder Rouse.
Aye.
Alder Perez.
Aye.
Alder Taft.
Aye.
Alder Mi'kmaq.
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 noes.
That item is passed. Alder Taft, let's continue on with the Finance and Personnel report. Do you have any other items for separate consideration?
I have one such request.
Okay, and which item is that?
It is item 430-21.
Great, if you could please read that report.
Sure. Communication sponsored by Alder Coe and Mayor Mason requesting to refund 2021 license fees related to small businesses and to amend the 2021 budget to offset the loss in revenue with American Rescue Plan funds when received. The recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is to approve fiscal note funds to be refunded from the American Rescue Plan in an amount no larger than $120,000.
Would you like to make a motion to this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Alder Coe seconds the item. Any discussion on this item? Alder Coe, this was your idea originally with the two of us proposing it. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would. It's got a little something I want to read. 2020 and 2021 brought more than its share of devastating times for the city of Racine. While many stores were hit with rough times, restaurants and bars were certainly among the most devastated businesses to feel the effects of COVID. I have long taken pride in representing the downtown and am excited today to propose refunding 2021 license fees for bars and restaurants in the city of Racine. We have an opportunity to use the American Rescue Act funds to give back to the heart of the community. Why shouldn't we give back to those who help keep our community alive and growing? While I know this is only a drop in the bucket to helping our local business owners, I hope this is the start to giving back to those who bring family, community, and tourism together in Racine by helping them hold on to their licenses and continuing to bounce back from COVID. And at this time, I would like to ask if any Alder person would like their name to be added as co-sponsors on this.
Yeah,
item.
Alder Coe, I'm afraid I have to do that piece.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So
Okay,
why don't we let a little discussion go for a little bit, and then
Okay.
I can pose that question. Alder Tate the second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to speak in support of this action. Obviously, all of us last week, or many of us, participated in a discussion and a briefing from city staff on the purpose, scope, and applications of some of the American Rescue Plan dollars. I think that conversation was critical before any actual allocation of those dollars occurred. So now that that has occurred, I can be in support of this because I think we need to do things. When we do things, even as well-intended as they are, we have to do them right too. So now that this council has been appropriately briefed on the application of those funds, I think we can begin allocating them to worthy causes that ultimately help our city bounce back and build back better. Thank you.
Thank you, President Tate. Second, Alder Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say I would be in support of this tonight. I know that our local businesses have been hit real hard. I know that the Common Council had an opportunity a little bit during the year to kind of support some of the businesses and restaurants. And I think that now that we have an opportunity to help them a little bit more, this would be a great thing to do to show our support to our community and to the business owners in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Horton. Any further discussion on the item? See none, we did get several requests of people who might want to be added as co-sponsors to this item. If you would like to be listed, if you could Alder Young, did you want to speak to this item?
Just would like to be listed as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Okay, Alder Young has asked to be listed as a co-sponsor. Without objection, we'll make it Alder Perez, Alder Horton, Alder Mi'kmaq, Alder Santiago, Alder Taft, Alder Jones, Alder Pete, Alder West, Alder Tate II, Alder Peterson. Did I miss anyone who wanted to be listed who's not listed? Okay, Clerk Coolidge, did you get all those alders that we named off?
Can I read this back to you and just double check it if you don't mind, Mayor? It was quite a few.
Yeah, that's absolutely, it looks like Alder Rouse has his hand to be listed as well. But yes, Clerk Coolidge, if you could read back the list of co-sponsors, both going into the meeting and now added on as well.
Sure, I had Alder Co already listed, Alder Jones to be added, Alder Tate, I did not have your name down. Do you wish to be added? Yes, Alder Tate. I have Alder Santiago. I don't have Alder Caprillion. I do have Alder Peterson, Horton, West, Young, Pete, Rouse, Perez, Taft, Mi'kmaq, and I do not have Alder Lemke.
I think we got a thumbs up from Alder Caprillion wanting to be added, and Alder Lemke is nodding that she would like to be added as well.
That makes it easy. That is 15 sponsorships. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. All right. Nonetheless, we do still also need to do a roll call vote. So when the clerk calls your name, please unmute yourself briefly and vote as you wish. Clerk Coolidge.
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Co,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Yes.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Yes.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Mi'kmaq,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
That is 15 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion carries. We can move on to the remainder of the Finance and Personnel report. Alder Taft, did you have any other items for separate consideration?
I have received no other requests.
Very well then, if you could please proceed with the remainder of your report.
All right, so item 300-21, subject intergovernmental agreement between the City of Racine, Racine Water Utility, and Village Mount Pleasant relating to the cost sharing on Oaks Road infrastructure projects. Recommendation is to approve and refer of the Waterworks Commission is to approve and refer to Finance and Personnel. Recommendation of Finance and Personnel is to approve, subject to City Attorney review of the agreement. Fiscal note, the water main work on this project is estimated to cost $100,000, which amount is budgeted in the Waterworks Utility Capital Improvement Plan. It's a little unorthodox. Can I actually ask if that review has been done? Can I ask the attorney if that review has been completed? I did not have the opportunity to follow up. So should I pull it for separate consideration to ask that?
No, I mean, I think we can stop at this point and ask the city attorney if he can clarify the status of that review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ma'am, I have reviewed the agreement. It's a relatively common, relatively simple under the circumstances, and I'm fine with it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that review had been done and that everybody, okay, great. Next item is 436-21, communication sponsored by Alder Lemke on behalf of the Public Health Director requesting to accept $28,000 of funding from the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the 2021 Wisconsin Beach Monitoring Program. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is that the staff be authorized to enter into the agreement and accept funding from the Wisconsin DNR in the amount of $28,000. Fiscal note, grant is for $28,000. There is no local match. My family is arriving home now and it is about to get loud in my house, so I apologize. Alder West, you may need to get ready to read these items. Okay. Item 437-21, communications sponsored by Alder Lemke on behalf of the Public Health Director requesting to accept $21,000 from the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services for local public health departments HIV prevention partner services consolidated program. Recommendation of the committee is to approve, and I accept $21,000. Grant is for $21,000. There is no local match. Next item is item 438-21, communication sponsored by Alder Lemke on behalf of the Public Health Director requesting to accept $610,200 of funding from the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services for local public grant departments ELC COVID-19 grant. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is to the staff be authorized to enter into the agreement and accept funding from the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services for this grant. The grant is for $610,200 and there is no local match. Item 439-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, recommending that the City of Racine Public Health Administrator, Community Health Director, and Director of Environmental Health be paid for unused 2020 vacation leave. The recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is that the City of Racine Public Health Administrator, Community Health Director, and Director of Environmental Health be paid for unused 2020 vacation leave at the option of such employees. Very well deserved. Fiscal note, the total amount to be paid will be no more than $11,725.97. And that concludes the Finance and Personnel Committee report.
Very well, and thank you, Chair Taft. Without objection, the remainder of these items will be placed on the consent agenda. We will now move on to Public Works and Services Committee. Alder Jones, did you have any items for separate consideration?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have one item.
Okay, please
It's
begin there.
on page 9, item 0429-21.
You could read that item.
Thank you. Communication sponsored by Alder Young, Mayor Mason, Alder Jones, and Alder Ross, requesting to approve a resolution for the City of Racine officially supporting the construction of the Kenosha-Racine-Milwaukee commuter rail line as attached. Recommendation that a resolution of support for federal investments in the construction of the Kenosha-Racine-Milwaukee commuter rail line be approved.
All right.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Alder Young, is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. And Alder Jones, as chair, you have first dibs to speak on it. If you didn't want to speak on it, I'd ask Alder Young to speak to his resolution.
I will pass to Alder Young. Thank you.
All right, Alder Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chairwoman Jones. This is brought to our attention today because the federal government is currently having discussions around major investments in infrastructure that the City of Racine needs to be prepared to engage with. We know that the City of Racine is the largest city. That's the first interstate highway system in the Midwest, and that we're in the heart of the third largest economic region in the United States and the 10th largest economic region in the world. Yet because of that distance from what connects us, we're not taking advantage of where we sit regionally. And so whether that be the over $800 billion in annual or thousands of jobs that our region possesses that are just miles away from Racine's borders, we know that we can do a better job by partnering with the state and federal government to make sure that we have infrastructure investments, to make sure that our residents have access to those opportunities. So this is about quality of life. This is about environmental stewardship. This is about racial equity in terms of access. And so what we want to do today is position the administration, staff, to engage our federal partners in conversations about where federal dollars are going to go for infrastructure investments. And so what I wanted to do today is bring this to the council's attention, and in the spirit of Alder Coe and the mayor, request this for co-sponsorship for those on the council tonight.
Great. Why don't we see if there's any further discussion on the item before we go to co-sponsors? I appreciate how enthusiastically Alder Coe's hands went up, but is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing no further discussion at this time, it has been requested that additional sponsors could be listed to this item. If you would like to be added, please raise your hand, virtually or physically. I see Alder Pete, Alder Coe, Alder Tate II, Alder Santiago, Alder Lemke, Alder Horton, Alder Perez, Alder Caprillion, Alder Mi'kmaq, Alder Taft, Alder Jones, I believe, is already on it. And I can't see Alder Rouse. Alder Peterson is asked to be added. Alder Rouse, I can't see you if you'd like to be added. I can tell.
Alder Rouse is already added.
Already sponsored, sorry about that. Alder West has his hand raised virtually. I believe we got everyone. If I didn't get you, please wave at me and I will be sure to make sure that you're added. But as we did with the previous item, I will ask Clerk Coolidge to please read back the list of the co-sponsors, both originally on the item and who've been added on here today to make sure we have everyone.
Mayor,
Clerk Coolidge?
I have all 15 of the alders are either already on the item or have requested. If I'm incorrect, please let me know.
All right, that is what we have. Alder Tate II, did you want to speak to the item?
No, sir.
Oh, all right, excellent. So seeing no further discussion on Alder Young's apparently very eloquent and brief presentation of KRM, which has led to 15 co-sponsors on this item. When the clerk calls your name, please briefly unmute yourself and vote as you wish. Clerk Coolidge?
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Coe,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Yes.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Mi'kmaq,
Aye.
Alder Lemke. Alder Lemke?
Oh, Alder
you're
Lemke,
muted.
you're
She's
muted. Alder.
muted.
Sorry. Technical difficulties. Aye.
I have 15 ayes, 0 noes.
Excellent. Excellent. Alder Jones, did you have any other items for separate consideration in your report?
Not at this time.
All right, please proceed with your report.
Thank you. Item 040721, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason and Alder Young on behalf of the Sustainability and Conservation Coordinator, submitting resolution to approve joining the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition. Recommendation that the Sustainability and Conservation Coordinator be authorized to participate in the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition. Item 0282-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works, requesting that the position of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works be designated as the authorized representative for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Recommendation that the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works be designated as the authorized representative for the WDNR-CVA/POSF grant application, fiscal note 9. 419-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 2 to contract 202-0057 Ohio Street Lighting, MP Systems, Inc. contractor. Recommendation that change order number 2 be approved in the amount of $17,765.40. Fiscal note, funding to cover the cost of the $17,765.40. Change order is available and replace city circuits. 0420-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting change order number 2 to contract 202-0007 accessible street and alleys, A.W. Oaks and Son, Inc. contractor. Recommendation that change order number 2, A.W. Oaks and Son, Inc. contract to be approved in the amount of $11,596. Fiscal note, funding to cover the cost is available in storm sewer. Next item, 0421-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer submitting a three-party professional engineering services contract between the city of Racine, WisDOT, and Strands Associate, Inc. for state project ID 2703-09-01, North Main Street, Gould Street to Melvin Avenue. Recommendation that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized and directed to enter into a three-party professional engineering service agreement between the city of Racine, WisDOT, and Strand Associate, Inc. for state project 2703-09-01 Main Street, Gould Street to Melvin Avenue. Fiscal note, this project is in the not to exceed amount of $432,671.51, with the state share being $3,448,137.21, 80%, and the city share being $86,534. Next item, 422-21, communication sponsored by the chair submitting the final resolution for the following street assessments. Portland Cement Concrete, Barber Drive, cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue, Chatham Street, Melvin Avenue to Lombard Avenue, DeKalb Avenue, Clark Street to Racine Street, Kentucky Street, Kinsey Avenue to Haven Avenue, Kiwanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street, Lighthouse Drive, Sheffield Drive to Queens Court, Lombard Avenue, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Bituminous concrete paving, Barber Drive, cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue, Chatham Street, Melvin Avenue to Lombard Avenue, DeKalb Avenue, Clark Street to Racine Street, Kentucky Street, Kinsey Avenue to Haven Avenue, Kiwanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street, Lighthouse Drive, Sheffield Drive to Queens Court, Lombard Avenue, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Sanitary sewer main, DeKalb Avenue, Clark Street to Racine Street, Kiwanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Sanitary sewer lateral, DeKalb Avenue, Clark Street to Racine Street, Kiwanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Recommendation that the final resolution be amended to delete Portland Cement Concrete Paving, Barber Drive, cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue, Lombard Avenue, North Main Street to Chatham Street. Bituminous concrete, Barber Drive, cul-de-sac to Gulf Avenue, Chatham, Melvin Avenue to Lombard, DeKalb, Clark Street to Racine Street, Kentucky, Kinsey Avenue to Haven Avenue, Kiwanee Street, North Main Street to Chatham Street, Lighthouse Drive, Sheffield Drive to Queens Court, Lombard Avenue, North Main Street to Chatham Street. The next item, 423-21, communications from the president of Fourth Fest of Greater Racine, Inc., requesting permission to use the city right-of-way for the 4th of July parade on July 5th, 2021, with stipulations attached. Recommendation that permission be granted to Fourth Fest of Greater Racine, Inc., to close certain city streets on Monday, July 5th, 2021, from 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. to hold the 2021 Independence Day Parade with stipulation as attached. Physical note, the city of Racine shall provide Fourth Fest of Greater Racine, Inc., approximately $145,000 in-kind services, including but not limited to overtime and capital contribution for the conduct of the parade. Next item, 424-21, Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 1 to contract 202-00095 sanitary sewer laterals repairs, State Highway 20 and various location, Globe Contractor Inc. contractor. Recommendation that change order number 1 be approved in the deduct amount of $10,562.66. Fiscal note funding for this change order is credited in sanitary sewer. The next item, 425-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works to submit final payment for contract 202-0095 sanitary sewer lateral repairs, State Highway 20, various location, Global Contract Inc. Recommendation that the work completed by Global Contractors Inc. be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $365,325.34. Final payment to include retainage. Physical note contract. The contract was authorized under resolution number 0061-21 dated February 2nd, 2021. The next item, 421-21, communications from Alder Young on behalf of the Transit and Parking System Manager and the City Attorney presenting a consent and notation agreement assigning rights and obligations under the existing transit management agreement with the City of Racine from First Transit Inc. to First Group Management Inc. Recommendation that the mayor and city clerk be authorized and directed to execute the consent agreement. Fiscal note, there is no change physical effect. Next item, 432-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of city engineer, submitting change order number 2 to contract 202-00001 2020 sanitary sewer construction, A.W. Oaks and Son contractor. Recommendation that change order number 2 be approved in the deduct amount of $21,894.20. Physical note funding for this change order is credited in sanitary sewer. The next item is 433-21, communication from the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, requesting to authorize final payment for contract 202-00001 2020 sanitary sewer construction, A.W. Oaks and Son contractor. Recommendation that the work completed by A.W. Oaks and Son Inc. be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $448,951.80. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, contract 202-0001 was authorized under resolution number 0051-20 dated February 4th of 2020. Item 435-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, requesting that the city enter into a reimbursement agreement with the village of Mount Pleasant for WisDOT project ID 1693-34-06 Lake Michigan Path Phase 4. Recommendation that the mayor and city clerk be authorized and directed to enter into a reimbursement agreement with the village of Mount Pleasant for WisDOT project Lake Michigan Pathway 4. Fiscal note, the village of Mount Pleasant will reimburse the city of Racine the village prorated shares of the construction cost plus 15% for design engineering, contract and construction management services at a not to exceed fee of $107,000. And any additional costs will be submitted to the village for approval. The next item is 446-21, communications sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works, submitting road salt prices for salt for ice control during the 2021-2022 winter season. Recommendation that the bid of Compass Mineral America, Inc. for the purchase of approximately 7,000 tons of salt for ice control during the 2021-2022 winter season under their proposed one-year contract extension price of $72.03 per ton delivered be approved. Fiscal note funding for this purchase is available in work supplies. Your Honor, that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Jones. Without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. We will now move on to Public Safety and Licensing Committee report. Alder Coe, do you have any items for separate consideration?
No, I don't.
Please proceed with your report, sir.
Item 037921, communication submitting an application for a secondhand article dealer's license, Wisconsin Discount, doing business as Wisconsin Discount, located at 2724 16th Street, Racine, Wisconsin, 53405. Abdel Yassin, Agent, 9th District. Recommendation of the committee was to approve. Next item, 0413-21, communication on behalf of the Racine Public Library requesting a small area of Pershing Park for use by a petting zoo on Saturday, June 12, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Recommendation is to approve. Next item, 0416-21, communications submitting renewal requests for intoxicating liquor and fermented malt beverage licenses for the 2021-2022 year. Recommendation that they be approved. Next item, 0426-21, communications submitting an application for a Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for Mexico Lindo LLC restaurant doing business as Mexico Lindo, located at 606th Street, Edward Sharding, Agent, 1st District. Recommendation is to approve. Next item of business, 42721, communications submitting an application for a scooter business, Bird Rides, Inc., doing business as Bird, located at 406 Broadway Avenue, unit number 369, Austin, Marshburn, owner. Recommendation is to approve. Next item of business is 044221, communication proposing to amend Chapter 6, Article 4, Section 6-133, Ordinance 0009-21, operator's license for the municipal code of the city of Racine, Wisconsin. Recommendation is to approve, and that's the end of my report.
Without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. Moving on now to the Transit Commission report. Alder Young, is this an item for separate consideration?
This is not, Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed with the report.
Item 0226-21, communication sponsored by Alder Young, requesting authorization for the Transit and Parking System Manager to exercise a one-year option under an existing purchased transportation agreement with Wisconsin Coach Lines for the commuter bus route serving Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee. Recommendation of the Transit Commission is to approve. Fiscal note, $782,712 are covered by state and federal operating grants.
Without objection, this item will be placed on the consent agenda. We will now move on to the Planning, Heritage, and Design Commission. Alder Young, did you have any items for separate consideration?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed with your report.
Item 0401-21, request by CCM Porters LLC, authorized agent for Cardinal Capital Management Incorporated, for consideration of a conditional use permit to build and operate a mixed-use development at 3016 6th Street and 608 Wisconsin Avenue, as allowed by Section 114-508 of the Municipal Code, and for design review being located within the downtown design review area. Recommendation of the Planning, Heritage, and Design Commission is to approve, subject to conditions A through I.
Without objection, this item will be placed on the consent agenda. Moving on now to the CDBG Advisory Board. Alder Tate, did you have any items for separate consideration?
I do. I have item 0440-21 for separate consideration.
Okay, if you could read that item, please.
Certainly. Communication sponsored by Mayor Mason requesting an allocation of $244,960 for community development grant funded economic development activities. Recommendation that CDBG Advisory Board recommended to the Common Council that the funds be allocated for the fiscal year 2020 action plan, be obligated as part of the fiscal year 2020 annual action plan, be obligated to Legacy Redevelopment Corp. To undertake eligible activities as indicated in the submitted application and in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations. Further, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute all necessary written agreements. Move to approve.
Motion to approve this item. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Jones. Alder Tate, would you like to speak to the item?
I don't have any particular things to add, but we did discuss this in committee. It was recommended because LRC does specifically and specifically is and narrowly focused on micro business loans, that they were the best applicant in terms of their application and provided the most balance in terms of those needs. And you know, the other applicant, while had a diverse background, also will qualify for other CDBG funds under HUD for some of the activities that they were describing. And because of this particular applicant's narrow scope and very particular focus on that micro enterprise loan, they were the best fit for the use of those funds as laid out in our action plan, in our 5-year action plan as well.
Great. Alder Lemke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a clarifying question, and I think Alder Tate started to allude to it. I know that we, with the CDBG, have kind of reorganized things under the 5-year action plan, but was curious if this is the typical mechanism that we use to fund WIBIC, or if, like that we had in previous years, or if this is a separate application, like apart from the general CDBG funding pot. I don't understand as much about that after we've restructured it as I did before we did. So I would appreciate any help.
Alder Lemke, it's a great question. I do want to clarify one thing, and this does happen from time to time with grantees who received funding from CDBG for multiple years. It's begun to be assumed that it is their funding, or that they're guaranteed funding year over year. What happened this year is there was an RFP that was put out. We had applicants. They were scored by staff. A recommendation was made to CDBG Advisory Board, and the applicant with the higher score was recommended to you here tonight. These are competitive grants, and so sometimes I think there's sometimes people feel disappointed when one entity doesn't get a grant recommendation over another, but they are competitive grants. I will ask Mr. Rudzik if he is here, although I don't see him in the queue.
Mayor, 1 second, I can promote him from attendee to panel.
Okay, great. That would be great. Mr. Rudzik, now our Assistant Director in Development, led this process. Mr. Rudzik, could you clarify or correct any of the characterizations that I made about this process for Alder Lemke?
Sure. So I do want to direct your attention to the agenda briefing memo that kind of lays out a lot of what the thought process was that went behind this. But just to kind of go through, what our thought process was. So this year we decided to provide the entire economic development set aside of our annual CDBG allocation. It's $244,960 to a CDFI to be able to provide capital services in the form of loans and or grants, as well as administration technical assistance. And this was done, Alder Lemke, you kind of mentioned this. This was really done because the Neighborhood Services Division of the City Development Department is reorienting its staff capacity towards housing redevelopment and away from economic development. So we don't necessarily have the in-house capacity to run our own economic development revolving loan fund the way we may have in the past. So to be sure that applicant CDFIs provide a meaningful amount of loans or grants to area businesses, the application specified that at least half of the applied for CDBG funds must be used for loans and or grants to businesses. And in their responses, Legacy Redevelopment Corporation allocated $160,000 or 65% of their proposed CDBG funds to capital services, while WIBIC allocated $75,000 or 30% of the CDBG funds that they had proposed to use to capital services. So the difference in that funding was really what Alder Tate was talking about, the balance there. Legacy has more of a balance in terms of providing funds that are going directly into the hands of entrepreneurs and business owners, as well as technical assistance and admin, while more of what WIBIC is proposing would go to technical assistance and admin, and not as much would be applied for loans or grants. And that's really the primary reason that staff is recommending LRC to receive CDBG funding instead of WIBIC. I should also point out that we placed a requirement that all applicants for CDBG funds from outside the city establish a physical location in the city within 6 months of contract execution, and LRC has a location identified and intends to do that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, and I
Alder
thank you.
Lemke?
Yeah, I was going to say thank you. I appreciate the clarification because, you know, just for history, not with the current applicant. I think their application and the way it was described and laid out, you know, what I read from you sounded great. It's always great to have new people, you know, coming in and innovating in Racine. But I was just going back to remembering there was about 5 years ago where there was an applicant that got a chunk of funding that was kind of like competing against WIBIC. They had zero relationships. They had zero physical space. They had absolutely no connection to the city of Racine. And then we funded them like, hey, it's the new guy. So I really wanted to make sure that that was not what was happening, because in the past, it I think was very arbitrarily given to someone who had no knowledge of anything going on in the city of Racine. And so that I do think that people who are here, like, you know, what I do in, you know, my day job in health is a lot with community relationships. And I think relationships matter. I think being physically present matters. So I just appreciate the clarification and the stipulation that they do have to physically be here so our business owners can access them, which is something I didn't know was the case. So I really appreciate that.
Matt or Bill, anything you wanted to say to expand or comment on that?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I think that Matt explained it quite well. And I would say that this is a tougher decision based on some of the things that have been brought up here tonight. But that specific focus on getting more than 50% of these proceeds into the hands of the applicants and businesses that need them was very important. And I think Matt elaborated a little bit on the changes within city development that will allow this economic development piece to be expedited by this firm while we focus on some of the other large issues that we're contending with. So we understand it's a change from the past, but I echo what you said earlier, Mayor, that we evaluate these funds in real time to determine the best fit. You know, I think there are a lot of good fits, but we look for the best fit. And I think that's what was done here.
And I appreciate the additional clarification too about the, you know, proportions of funding and what have you. So I appreciate that.
Alder Pete?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want for clarification, the percentage of funds that LRC would be committing to small business loans and financial support.
Yeah, Matt, if you could review those two numbers one more time for Alder Pete's edification.
Sure. So in the proposed budget, Legacy Redevelopment Corporation is allocating $160,000 or 65% of their proposed CDBG funds for capital services, while WIBIC is allocating $75,000 or 30% of their CDBG funds for capital services.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions from alders or comments from alders? Okay, seeing no further comments or questions on this item, we do have a motion on the floor. When the clerk calls your name, please vote. Please unmute yourself briefly and vote as you wish. Clerk Coolidge?
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Coe,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Perez,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Meekma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion carries. Alder Tate II, did you have another item for separate consideration under the CDBG advisory board?
I had no other requests for separate consideration.
Okay, if you could read the other item, please.
All right, item 0441-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason requesting budget amendments to contracts obligating CDBG CV funds to Legal Action of Wisconsin for eviction diversion and foreclosure prevention. Recommendations that to the Common Council and Legal Action, that the budget amendments be approved as requested. Further, the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute all necessary agreements. The fiscal note is that this action shifts funding from foreclosure prevention to eviction diversion activities, and the overall amount of funding allocated under both agreements will not change. I believe that concludes the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Board report.
Without objection, this additional item will be placed on the consent agenda, and we will now move on to the mayor's report. Alder Tate, did you have an item for separate consideration?
No.
Please read the item.
Item 0459-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason appointing the following: Becky Hornung to the library board for a term expiring in May 2023. And that concludes the office of the mayor report.
Without objection, that appointment will be added to the consent agenda. That now moves us to the consent agenda. Alder Tate, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Excellent. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Young. If everyone could briefly unmute themselves, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That consent agenda carries. We now move on to Common Council announcements. Just as a reminder, announcements are limited to recognition of city residents and employees, memorials, and non-political community events. Discussion of matters related to governmental business is prohibited. Alder Coe.
Yeah, I just want to wish an early birthday to my beautiful granddaughter, Kaisis, who I brought to council meetings. She's going to be turning 8 years old next Friday, and I just want to give her a big shout out.
Thank you for that, Alder Coe. Alder Rouse.
Yeah, thank you. As we begin this June, this Pride Month, I want to give a thank you and a shout out to someone who got me started with something that was impactful for my life from a young age. And that was Alder Melissa Caprillion, my mother, upon passing equal rights for domestic partners in the city of Racine. It was a long time ago, but something that I thought is such a small position as an alderman can make such a huge difference in people's lives. And it made the city of Racine a very comfortable place for me. It made my family a very comfortable place to come out when I did. And I want to thank you, Mom, for starting my journey into politics and creating a comfortable city that now extends.
Thank you for that, Alder Rouse. That was great. Alder Caprillion.
Well, following that, you're welcome, but I would like to wish my son, Alder Rouse, a happy birthday, and my granddaughter, his daughter, Elliot, a happy 4th birthday.
Thank you very much. Alder Horton.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say congratulations to all the students, staff, family members that are graduating this year during the pandemic for Racine Unified entire administration. I know it was tough. It was a tough year for everyone, but for the students, for those that made it through, congratulations, and just keep moving forward, hoping that this was an experience for everyone, including me. But for those that made it, congratulations.
Thank you, Alder Horton. Alder Taft.
Going along with the birthday theme, I need to wish my sweet, sassy, silly, soon-to-be 9-year-old boy who has a June birthday a happy birthday.
Excellent. Alder Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yesterday, as a nation, we recognized Memorial Day. So those who sacrificed everything to fight for what it means to be an American. So I just want us to recognize that in our first council meeting back.
Thank you, Alder Young. Alder Tate the second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Because we will be taking a brief period off, there's going to be quite a few events that occur between now and the next time we get together. So I wanted to rattle off some of those, but also to echo Alder Young. Yesterday was, in addition to Memorial Day, also the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre. And it's taken this long for really that reality of our history to really enter a full cultural consciousness, where more people are becoming aware of what happened, when it happened, why it happened, and how that thread continues to modern day in terms of racial relations in this country. And I say that in the preference to June 19th will be Juneteenth Day in the city of Racine, and we will be celebrating at the John Bryant Center. Hopefully, I believe there'll also be a vaccine clinic happening at that time. So we want people to be safe, and if they're not fully safe, to get more safe by getting vaccinated. I believe also between now and the next time we get together, we'll be celebrating our Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Juneteenth Day, for those who don't know, is the commemoration of the Emancipation Proclamation, the news of the Emancipation Proclamation, reaching folks, formerly enslaved folks in Texas, to know that slavery was no longer the law of the land. And they didn't receive that news until much later after it had gone into effect. So, as we speak of, the memory and the memorial of Tulsa and the celebration of the end of slavery reaching folks, we have to recognize that the racial history of this country, that thread continues in the efforts to stamp out racism, bigotry, prejudice in this country, continues to be a daily work that we have to continue to do. So with that, I will pause and let others who have their hands up acknowledge other events that are happening between now and the end of July. Also, Fourth Fest, Happy 4th of July, Independence Day will be happening. So a lot of stuff going on between now and the next time we get together. It's possible we'll have some special meetings, but if we don't, it's important that folks know now what's going on, and we hope to see you out there as we get back to business.
Thank you, Alder Tate the second. Alder Lemke.
Yeah, a lot of great events, and I'm happy we can kind of get back to normal. Just want to wish a happy birthday to my dad coming up here in June, and my sweetheart Lexia recently had a birthday and wanted to wish her happy birthday as well. So
Thank you. Any other announcements from Alders? Alder Coe? Wait, Alder Jones hasn't gone yet. Let's let Alder Jones go first.
Muted.
Oh, Alder Jones, you're muted.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a shout out to my grandson, who's going to be 22 on the 3rd of January. Wishing him a happy birthday.
Thank you, Alder Jones. Alder Cove.
Yeah, and I just want to welcome everybody downtown Friday for our, sounds like going to be a really nice day for our first Friday. I think it's going to be great to get back to some normalcy around here. So please come on down.
Alder Cove, thank you very much. I do, just before we go, want to acknowledge all the teachers and staff and students who've gone through an extraordinary school year that will end next year. All the teachers in Racine Unified and other schools have just had a tremendous year of virtual and then blended, some in person, some virtual. It has been a challenge like no other that we've seen. I'm hoping by the fall we're back to more normalcy, as Alder Coe put it, but really want to acknowledge their work. I also really want to acknowledge the amazing work that our staff has done, public health and first responders in particular, but everybody who's pitched in, the clerk's office through extraordinary elections, the Parks Department, in just about any way that they could help. The list goes on and on. It's really been an extraordinary year. So I want to acknowledge that real sacrifice that people have put in as public servants this year. It's really been extraordinary. And then lastly, I just want to adjourn in honor of my Uncle Ben, who's going through a difficult time right now, and hope that that he is well. So With that, without any further business, one last announcement. It's been alluded to. We will meet again as a full council on July the 20th. And if all goes well, and we can figure out all the technical kinks, we will be doing that in person in the council chamber. And just as a reminder, City Hall and city buildings open up to the public, albeit with masks, tomorrow. So be well, everyone. Stay safe and get vaccinated if you haven't already. Thanks, everyone.